So Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the worst Assassin's Creed game, and no, it's not just because it takes 100 hours to finish. Look, I know some of you love it, it's a massive map, big RPG system, yeeting people off cliffs, it's really fun. But we're talking about Assassin's Creed as a series that has an identity. The stealth, the Brotherhood, the Hidden Blade, actual assassinations, and when you judge Odyssey on that, there are some big problems. Odyssey swaps Hidden Assassin for Immortal Mercenary Demigod. It swaps the Hidden Blade for a magical spear, and it swaps a focused narrative for a buffet of level-gated errands and mythical boss fights. Is it fun? Absolutely. Is it Assassin's Creed? That's the debate. Important note before we start, worst AC doesn't automatically mean bad game. We'll talk about that at the end, but first, let's break down exactly where Odyssey stops being Assassin's Creed and turns into something else. So let's start with the obvious. Assassin's Creed Odyssey isn't really Assassin's Creed, at least not in the way the series built its identity. The whole fantasy of Assassin's Creed has always been about stealth, blending into crowds, waiting for the perfect moment, using a hidden blade under your wrist to quietly take out a target and vanish before anyone even knows you're there. In Odyssey, you're not an assassin. You're a mercenary with a magic spear. You're running around ancient Greece like a demigod, shouting in broad daylight and drop-kicking people off cliffs for a laugh. Subtlety is dead, stealth is optional, and the Hidden Blade, it doesn't even exist in this game. They literally took the most iconic weapon in the series and swapped it out for Leonidas' spear, which glows like a wraith stick every time you swing it. And then there's the Brotherhood, you know, the assassins, the actual thing the series is supposed to be about. Yeah, they're not in it either. Odyssey takes place centuries before the Brotherhood was even formed, which means you've got a full Assassin's Creed game with no assassins in it. Templars are kind of there if you squint, but the first Civ, the Isu stuff takes center stage instead, which is a bit of a positive. At some points, it does get a little bit overwhelming and goes more from that scientific basis to full-on mythological. So if you picked up this game expecting Assassin's Creed, you probably spent most of your time wondering when the assassins were going to show up. Spoiler alert, they didn't, not until the DLC bends over backwards to force it in. And look, I get it, okay? Ubisoft wanted to do an ancient Greece RPG, and Odyssey was the perfect excuse. But as an Assassin's Creed entry, it's like ordering fish and chips and being handed sushi. Tasty, sure, but it's not what you ordered. And of course, it has the RPG systems, and honestly, it pretty much overtakes the entire game. We've got level gating. I mean, you're happily playing along with the story, and then suddenly you can't go to the next quest because it's 5 levels above the level you're currently at. However, you can then go to grind side activities, clear forts, whatever you want. It's the classic Ubisoft trick, stretch the gameplay length and content by making you do all the content. Then there's the loot. It's an endless amount of weapons and armor pieces dropping every 5 minutes. You got swords, spears, helmets, shin guards, chest plates, all of this stuff with slightly different stat boosts. It's like Assassin's Creed by the way of Diablo, except most of it ends up being dismantled for crafting materials because you'll find something better 2 quests later anyway. And let's not forget the enemies. Odyssey's world is filled with absolute damage sponges. That sense of being a lethal assassin, striking from the shadows with one decisive hit, gone. Instead, you're hacking and slashing your way at a soldier for 30 minutes while their mates line up to whack you in the back. Nothing says assassin fantasy like emptying an entire skill bar into a bloke in a helmet who still won't go down. Yeah, so BPR from the future here. I have to admit, just a quick one, replaying this to get the footage, it was actually kind of fun. But it's still not Assassin's Creed. It's fun combat, but it's not Assassin's Creed. Even the map design feeds into it. Greece is massive. It is beautiful, but it's built like an RPG treadmill. Icon after icon after icon. Camps to clear, animals to hunt, random fetch quests. Ubisoft's checklist design at its absolute peak. And look, if you love the RPG grind, it's fine, but for Assassin's Creed, it's bloated. Instead of sharpening the core stealth and narrative, Odyssey padded everything out with systems on systems until the original DNA of the franchise was buried under XP numbers and color-coded loot. And then when you think you're done, here comes the bounty hunter system, which I think is a nice addition, and it's pretty cool to see it in the game. So that's one thing in Odyssey's favor. Some of the new systems they did implement are well thought worked out, and they do interact and play well with the rest of Assassin's Creed. They've even kept some of them within their recent titles, so Odyssey gets a +1 for that, but for everything else, no. And then there's the story, because here's where Odyssey actually deserves some credit. Compared to a lot of open world fluff, Odyssey's narrative does a decent job of weaving itself into real history. You're bumping shoulders with Pericles, getting lectures from Socrates, even rubbing shoulders with famous figures from the Peloponnesian War. It's not just window dressing, it grounds the game in a specific time and place, and that historical accuracy does shine through. I mean, just the opening alone with Leonidas is incredible, and honestly, the cutscenes they are stunning. The modern day sections though are okay. Layla's back, she's poking around artifacts again, and it keeps the Isu storyline ticking over. It's nothing revolutionary, but at least it ties Odyssey to the bigger Assassin's Creed lore rather than completely ignoring it. And then there's the Isu themselves, and if you're into them within the latest AC titles, Odyssey gives you a lot of it. There's the Atlantis DLC, a bunch of artifacts, the whole 9 yards. Personally though, I think it leans a bit too heavy into the mythological angle. I mean, you can fight Medusa, a Cyclops, and a Minotaur. They're fun boss fights, no doubt, but Assassin's Creed has always worked better when the first Civ stuff felt more techno-mystical, like hidden devices just beyond human understanding, and not straight up monsters out of a bestiary. So overall, Odyssey's story isn't bad. In fact, it's ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. It's juggling history, family drama, the cult of Cosmos, Isu lore, and mythology all at once, and while some of it lands, some of it does feel like 3 different games stitched together. Still, if you can look past the mythological detours, there's a solid historical core in there that feels pretty Assassin's Creed. And of course, with the story, we've got to talk about the protagonist problem. Odyssey tried to give players choice by letting you pick between Alexios and Cassandra. Sounds good on paper, 2 leads, more roleplay freedom, right? But in practice, it kind of wrecks the narrative. First off, the story was clearly written with Cassandra as the canon lead. She's sharper, the voice acting lands better, and Ubisoft even confirmed that she's the real protagonist, which makes Alexios feel like a half-baked alternative that undercuts the whole plot. And even with Cassandra, until the later DLC and the later games, she doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed. There's no Brotherhood, no Hidden Blade, no sense that she's tied to the legacy of the franchise. She's a mercenary, demigod, a one-woman wrecking crew, fun, yes, again, assassin, no. But again, this isn't her fault. Later in the DLCs and in Valhalla, we see her interact with the overworld of Assassin's Creed and the modern day. It's a whole story element how she can stay alive. Just Google it. It would be a lot easier than me going through everything and giving details. But in the main storyline, she doesn't feel part of the franchise. Most of the time, you do feel like a less stealthy assassin and sort of more like Kratos' cousin on a gap year. You are drop-kicking Spartans off cliffs, suplexing mercenaries in the middle of Athens, and shrugging off arrows like you're bulletproof. It's great for if you just want to go in and absolutely blitz enemies, but it's the polar opposite of what Assassin's Creed should really be about. And the dialogue choices, they try to add depth with a Mass Effect style will, but half the time it boils down to be nice, be sassy, or be a psychopath. There's no real impact, no branching storylines that change the ending. It just really pads out cutscenes while you pick which flavor of mercenary you want to be. Compare that to Ezio, Bayek, or even Arno. Love them or hate them, they were tied into the Brotherhood. Their actions built the series mythology. Odyssey leads basically Assassin's Creed's first superheroes, and that's the problem. Great RPG protagonist, but a terrible Assassin's Creed protagonist in the main game. I can't emphasize how much the DLC really does add towards Cassandra's character as an overall character in the Assassin's Creed franchise. But again, it's annoying she's not like that within the main game. And the thing is, with the RPG elements, obviously Origins did it really well, but Odyssey came along and pushed it too far. Suddenly Assassin's Creed wasn't so much Assassin's Creed anymore. Again, like I've said, basically a godlike mercenary in ancient Greece with stealth that was optional. The Brotherhood didn't exist, the Templar conflict barely mattered, and instead it was loot grinds, level gates, and mythological boss fights. Valhalla then came along, which still leaned into the RPG bloat because Odyssey had sold so well. I mean, it took most people almost 100 100 hours to complete Valhalla, which is ridiculous, especially since most of it was filler loot and half the time you spent trying to get from one mission to the next. Valhalla did obviously add assassins and more of that sort of Isu stuff, which was great to see, but still, the RPG bloat was way too much. So yeah, Odyssey might be the worst Assassin's Creed game, not because it's unplayable, not because it isn't fun in parts, but because it stopped being Assassin's Creed. There's no Brotherhood, no hidden blade, barely any stealth. Instead, it gave us level grinds, mythological boss fights, and protagonists that felt more like superheroes than assassins. It's gorgeous though, it's massive, and it's impressive in scope, but as an Assassin's Creed game, it completely lost the plot. That said, take the logo of Assassin's Creed off the box, and Odyssey's actually a pretty solid RPG. The combat's flashy, the world's huge, and if you want to spend 100 hours yeeting Spartans off cliffs while Socrates lectures you on philosophy, you'll have a good time. So maybe the real problem isn't that Odyssey was a bad game, it's that Ubisoft stuck the Assassin's Creed name on something that really wasn't Assassin's Creed anymore. But hey, what do you guys think down below? Is this an Assassin's Creed game, or is it a brilliant RPG? Should they just have removed the Assassin's Creed name from the game, or just kept it? Let me know what you guys think down below. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe to stay up to date with more Assassin's Creed videos, and I hope to see you all in the next video.